Welcome to the Headshots Podcast with Dr. Nicole, a 1-hour conversation on mental wellness to improve your look and outlook. During the show, we will talk about a variety of topics which impact you from the inside out. Each show is designed with 3 parts: lights, camera, and action. In our lights segment, we will shed light on a topic around a mental health concern. In our camera segment, we will focus on that mental health concern, educate, and raise awareness. And in our action segment, we will give 3 steps to improve your look and your outlook. So join us for the Headshots Podcast with Dr. Nicole. Good evening, everybody, and we want to welcome you to the Headshots Podcast with Dr. Nicole. My name is Dr. Nicole Johnson. I'm a licensed professional counselor, addictions professional, trauma-informed professional. I'm an assistant professor, and I have over 20 years experience in the field of behavioral health services. I want to thank all of my live audience, and I also want to thank anyone who is watching in the replay. So do me a favor. Like, share, get everybody involved, because tonight we have a show for you. I want to thank you for joining me for my 2nd season of the Headshots Podcast. Truly, last season was very informative. We went into topics around election stress and COVID and crisis and Christmas, oh my. And I got a lot of feedback from my audience on how helpful even the session around grief and the holidays was. So I want to thank you for tuning in. As I was thinking about what we can come back this 2nd season to talk about, I began to reflect on the transition into a new year. We have definitely come into 2021. And for a lot of people, 2021 was supposed to be and is supposed to be just a refreshing year, a new year, a transformation, shaking off what happened into 2020. But as we came into 2021, we recognized that it wasn't just that easy. Things haven't snapped into this brand new great season. We're still dealing with COVID-19. We're still dealing with racial and social injustices. People are living in a lot of fear and a lot of anxiety. And some of you tonight may be feeling stuck. Not stuck because you're mandated to stay in the house anymore. Not stuck because you still have to wear a mask or wash your hands or use hand sanitizer, but stuck emotionally and mentally. So, welcome to season two, where we're going to spend our next 8 weeks talking from the topic recovery, recover me in 2021. So, tonight's topic to start off our series is something that you might remember from a commercial a long time ago, where there was a senior citizen who had a device around their neck. And the senior citizen lived at home alone and they slipped and fell. And they said, "Help, I've fallen and I can't get up." And so we're going to talk tonight about falling and I can't get up. And we want to explore it from the idea of what are the possible long term effects of 2020 on your emotional and mental wellness. And I have a guest tonight, and Mr. John Hale, Elder John Hale, Professor John Hale. He just does wears so many hats. And we're going to bring John on in a few minutes so we can talk about this topic. So let's go to the lights. Let's shed light on this question of what are the possible long term effects of COVID 19, racial injustices, a lot of grief, a lot of loss, economic upheaval, unemployment. How will all of the things that have occurred in 2020, what are the long term effects on my mental and emotional wellness? Well, according to the Harvard School of Health, the long term effects of COVID 19 and all of the events that happened last year can include initial feelings of uncertainty and a loss of control. Being that people did not have an opportunity really to prepare for what COVID 19 would bring and all of the things that rolled out as the year and the months of the year started to move forward, we didn't anticipate what 2020 was actually going to be like. And so a lot of people have confessed and have admitted that I've been feeling uncertain. I felt like I didn't have control over the events of the year. Even those of people who have contracted COVID 19 talked about the loss of control because they felt like they had everything on lock. They wore their masks. They used their hand sanitizer. They kept 6 feet apart. They maintained safety as well as they knew. They followed all of the guidelines and still contracted COVID 19, which resulted in some people for the first time ever experiencing mental health concerns. People who never had a diagnosis, never had any notable anxiety or depression, were now by the end of 2020 reporting that they felt like they were having mental health concerns. In addition to that, persons who had already identified with having mental health concerns, their symptoms were increased and they were felt more intensely. And so these persons may have felt isolated. They may felt at risk of thoughts of suicide. They may have felt isolated because they weren't able to engage in mental health services that they had previously had been engaging in face to face. Now everything is on Zoom, everything is through telehealth. And people who are not used to using services on telehealth were now isolated from those social networks and those connected connections that would bring them into wellness and healing and wholeness and just a sense of belonging. Let's think about the issues of race. And so people may have felt alone and not able to have an outlet in the way we had an outlet in 2019, where we could come together and hug one another and share in these times of emotional distress. And then, you know, it kind of brought people to a place where they were feeling really low. People have reported, and I'm talking about friends and family, and even just watching the amount of loss and people losing loved ones, and even losing some loved ones and some friends myself. It made people feel by the end of the year exhausted, worn out, tapped out, stressed out, and a lot of people felt like they had fell. They had been injured. They had been wounded in such a way that they were laying down by the end of 2020, not really knowing how to get up from that place. Like on the commercial, the elderly person in that commercial that I mentioned was fragile. They were alone and they fell. But it seemed like there was no one there to help them get up. And they were able to press this device that they had on them, and that device signaled someone to come and to rescue them. And tonight, my friends, I don't know about you, but I, as a counselor, me as a counselor educator, me as someone, as a minister, someone who outreaches to the faith community and just the community at large, I've been experiencing a lot of people pressing their butt in. And they've been saying, Nicole, help me. I've fallen and I can't get up. So I felt that, this platform, this setting, Headshots was a perfect opportunity to start talking about where we are and how we can move from here. Like I said, many people reported feeling alone. Many people reported that they were literally in a new experience, not because of masks, not because of being sheltered in place, but because of mental and emotional distress. So I want to bring on my guest, Elder John Hale, who's a licensed professional counselor. He's a certified advanced alcohol and drug counselor. He's a certified anger management specialist, and he also is a trauma competent professional. He is my friend, my business partner, my comrade, my ride or die, everything that you want to say in a brother and in a colleague, I find in John. And I want to bring John on so we can carry this conversation a little bit further. Let's focus in on the terminology or the idea I've fallen and I can't get up. And we invite you to our listening audience. I see Bishop Chris Edwards. Thank you so much for tuning in, and God bless you as well. And I invite you, friends, put your questions and comments. Let's get this live going. Let's have this discussion. John and I are going to be talking, but we're talking to you, and we want you to talk back to us. So, John, I've fallen and I can't get up. John, I know you're a connoisseur of TV and commercials,
Oh yeah, I know that commercial well.
and you love illustrations. So, how many times have you actually used that commercial in counseling and in teaching people about a recovery?
Wow, that's just such an amazing, so real concept. I mean, when you see it for the first time, it may cause you to swing on the pendulum of a little chuckle all
Yes.
the way to a serious concern.
Hmm.
So you can find yourself in the middle of everywhere, but it is so relatable.
Hmm.
How many times we may have experienced falling down and not
Hmm.
being able to get back up. And I just, first of all, just want to thank you, Dr. Johnson, for allowing me
You're
to come
welcome.
back here again. I sure appreciate your wonderful audience and all your listeners and followers. It's just a pleasure and an honor to be here and to be a
Hmm.
part of the great work that you're all doing. So we appreciate you and for that. I honor you for that. And maybe we need to get you on live more often. I have never felt that kind to me before.
Oh, John, you are so gracious, and I appreciate you. So, John, like I said, I've fallen and I can't get up. We've talked about it, but when I was contemplating the title of this, and I said the series is going to be Recovery, Recover Me. I felt the need to talk about recovery because of the fact that people do not understand that recovery is not just about drug and alcohol. So let's talk a little bit about that. What is recovery?
Well, it's kind of like you were leading into one of my thoughts anyway, and that was the fact that you have broadened. I've fallen down and I can't get up. For the most
Hmm.
part, we usually look at the physical aspects of that.
Hmm.
I have fallen, I tripped or hurt, or physically I'm in so much pain that I can't get up. But now in these days that we had an unfortunate opportunity to experience COVID, and even the rise and increase in the continual social injustice, it realizes the fact that we have other weights besides physical weights.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
sometimes that heavy weight, trying to hold it, we've started seeing that we really can't carry that alone. Whether it's an
Right.
emotional weight,
Hmm.
which we are experienced, whether it is a psychological one, a spiritual one, but carrying so much weight, at some point we fall under pressure. And
Wow,
that
that's
weight could be
powerful.
so heavy that we
Hmm.
have fallen and we can't get up. So this is so broad, Dr.
Hmm.
Johnson. When you say I've fallen, I can't get up, most people who have not fallen physically may not really been able to relate to that. But
Right.
so many people, with the strain of the emotional uh, um, stress that
Hmm.
comes with being distanced from loved ones, that comes from not being able to connect the way you normally connect, and people started to feel that weight, and people
Hmm.
had succumbed to that weight,
Hmm.
or either the psychological weight of uncertainty,
Oh,
as you
yes.
said.
Yeah, John.
And normally we may be able to do other things to sort of shift that weight,
Hmm.
but unfortunately we had to bear it, and sometimes in most cases we had to bear it alone, that uncertainty alone.
Yeah.
And many may have fallen to as or succumbed to that pressure of weight. So
John,
you saying
I
those
just want
things
to,
is good.
I got to stop you because
Yeah, I know how we do. Mm,
you just said so much, and you know how
mhm,
we do, John.
mhm.
You said so much, but when you were talking about the weight, I had an image in my head of something I use a lot, and I talk about it like a sack of rocks. That a sack of rocks or a sock full of rocks that I'm carrying around. And so many people, like you said, being isolated from others meant that where I might have had someone to share the load with me,
Yeah,
now I found myself sharing this load alone. And that's why I've fallen, because this weight of emotional and mental distress, this weight of financial, John, you talked about,
yeah,
like, that we were talking about recovery. We're not just talking about drugs and alcohol, but John, we can even put that in, that some people have succumbed because of the pressures of 2020, have succumbed to even old habits, even reverting back to drug use and
yes,
alcoholism, going back to behaviors and things that they were free from. The weights
yes,
of those behavioral responses were lifted off of them, and now they're back under that bondage and feeling the weight of it, and really saying to themselves, "I don't know if I can get up from here,"
yeah.
or "I cannot get up from here without help."
Hmm. Very
And
well
so
said.
I appreciate what you're talking about, because recovery is more than just drug and alcohol. Recovery can talk about finances. How
Yep.
about the recovery, John, that was happening with people who had bad family relationships,
Yeah.
and COVID-19 forced them
Right.
to deal with it? What about the single person that's living alone? And I used to do all these activities and all these things to avoid me. Now I've been sitting for almost a year now
Okay.
with just me. And so, even as we're talking about recovery, we're talking about people really recovering themselves
Hmm.
from under this sack of rocks, right? Like all
Yeah.
these rocks that have under this cloud of uncertainty and despair and stress that is overtaking me. And so, you are a counselor. You experience people. What are you seeing?
Well, I'm basically seeing everything that you're describing, and more. I mean, you
Hmm.
just had me think also too that you know we're not always, when we're talking about the emotional and the psychological weights that come, is
Hmm.
that we haven't really had, many of us may have not really had much experience in relieving that weight
Hmm.
because of activities.
Right, right.
So when the activity is no longer an option, you said about
Mhm.
for some people how they succumbed and they picked up old habits
Yes.
because they weren't able to use the things they normally use for coping. And then you also have individuals who basically are not necessarily alone because of the fact that they are with a particular family who they may not have been used to engaging in the level that it takes to be around someone all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
so that means that, like you said, the isolation of a person having to look at themselves, having to accept themselves, having to deal with themselves, um, that in itself could be emotionally and psychologically weighty.
Wow. So I
But
don't know what to
then,
do. I don't know what
yeah,
to do. I don't
or,
know how to react. I don't
yeah,
even know how to engage with you because I'm used to not even seeing you all day.
yes,
That's from parent to child,
yep,
spouses,
spouse to
brother,
spouse, parent
sister,
to child, yeah.
family. I'm just not used to seeing you all day. I'm used to passing passing you like they say as ships in the night, right? Like I see you when I see you. But
And then
now,
also, I'm
go
sorry, go
ahead.
ahead.
No,
No, I
you
was going to
go.
say also, because you was asking me what I see in counsel, is the fact that, um, Nicole, it's not difficult to say, but for many that I've had experience in counseling,
Mhm.
they weren't necessarily used to having discussions in the depth level in which they were, or
Gotcha.
having, or needing to have now.
Hmm.
So no longer is it, hi, how was your day? And no, now is really the fact that you now have to let someone into your world,
Wow. Yeah.
because what you are experiencing now is an introspect, and
Hmm.
you're looking at yourself. But then now, in order to deal with it, so you're not alone, you have to share that vulnerability of that thought. You have to share that vulnerability of that hurt or that fear. And you may not be used to communicating at that such a depth level.
So
And
being
then the
able
pressure that
to
happens on that. Go ahead.
so being able to tell someone that when I am presenting as the strong one, this is something
Yes.
that I've heard from people
Yes.
that I'm the one that people have come to. And this is like leaders are feeling this, business owners,
Mm-hmm.
people that are in leadership, people that are the resource for their family and friends. I hear people saying things like, I'm the one that people come to, but now I'm the one that needs someone to come to me.
That's right.
And I don't know how to be in that role.
That's right.
And I don't know how to ask for help because I'm the helper.
That's right.
John, we have colleagues, we have fellow professionals and peers that are feeling the weight of this time and questioning how can I counsel someone when now I need counseling? How can I help someone when I need help? And there's a weight there. There's a weight, and people have feel like they've fallen.
Did as a question in the box?
You said so?
Yeah. So, what do you mean when you say I've fallen? Are you saying that I'm depressed? I mean, I would, in my experience with that question, that is a
Mm-hmm.
possibility. When we're
Mm-hmm.
saying that you have fallen, we want you to be able to take a look at it. And I'm a
Mm-hmm.
category type of individual.
Go
So I
ahead.
like to look at mind, body, soul, spirit.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know,
Yes.
so when I'm saying falling, a lot of times it's so easy to equate on the physical sense. But
Right.
many people may have experienced a fallback in their mind, and they have become overwhelmingly sad,
I got you. Yes.
which could lead to depression.
Yes.
Maybe you're not as sharp as normally you would be,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of your
Mm-hmm.
wit, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe your behavior is changing because of your emotions, and you're a bit more snappy,
Yeah.
or you
Yeah.
can't seem to find the energy to get back to moving around the way you used to move around. That
Mm-hmm.
could be a part because you have fallen. And when I say fallen mentally, it could be a depression, but it also going
Mm-hmm.
to just be a simple mental tiredness from
John, I
over
want to
from thinking all the time.
I want to jump in because when you were talking, I've started thinking about the fact that you know sometimes have people who are used to bouncing back very quickly,
Mm,
like and used to not letting things get them down. So they could brush this off, they could brush that off. So these type of things about, falling, it's, you're right, it's not just talking about depression. It's talking about, I don't find myself being able to bounce back, that resilience that I used to have, that I used to be like a rubber band. You pop it, I
Yes.
snap right back in place. But now I'm finding it harder to snap back in place. How do I, where is my place? I don't even know where my place is. That's the part about recover me. I don't
Yes.
even know who I am anymore. I
Yes.
just am been, instead of thriving, I've been surviving.
Yeah,
So
that's a
I
good
need some
point.
help with that, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that the fact that you mentioned, you're talking about recovery. Recovery is usually defined as some sort of restoration,
Yes.
or
Yes.
or in some sense of the matter, some type of return to normalcy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and even if you went to the hospital, they let you know that recovery is by way of a process.
Yes,
So
John.
when you're saying recover me, recover me,
Mm-hmm.
is that you are identifying that you have somehow falling back from normalcy within your own self.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not the normalcy in, because we're not, these are not normal circumstances that we used to dealing with.
Right.
And as a result of that, you might find yourself in a state of being that's not normal for you. That's
Yes.
something that you're not accustomed to.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're finding it difficult to restore or be restored back to that particular state. This
Mm-hmm.
is recovery, recover me.
Mm-hmm.
Starting to recognize the fact that I have made efforts, but I
Mm-hmm.
can't seem to. I've fallen and I
And I
can't get up
can't get up.
yet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good because it puts us in a position. I always say, as a counselor, I've often, prior to being a counselor, I've often uh, really did not take full advantage of the
Mm-hmm.
great advantage that I had.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning that I was always one to believe, anyway, that I give good advice.
Mm-hmm.
But if it was so good, why weren't I following it?
Right, John. John.
You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
so so I had to realize that I'm the one that's living beneath my privilege.
Yes. Yes.
If God has given
Yes.
me this wisdom, if He has given me this knowledge, if He has given me this
Yes.
strategy
Yes.
to employ onto others, then I would be doing myself as a disadvantage not following it. And I say that, Dr. Johnson, to say
Mm-hmm.
to anybody else that's out there that is a caregiver or is a caretaker,
Yes. Yes.
the same advice you would give someone else, that's what you should do.
That's
So
what you should do.
as a helper, and someone says, I don't know how to ask for help, and as quickly you can come up with how they can do that, it's as quick as you can do it as well.
I thank you for that because it's really something, because one of the things we want to talk about, and one of the things we want to bring it to the forefront, is that we all have fallen. This coronavirus has impacted each and every one of us. There is no one in the entire world that has not been under the coronavirus. And so when we're talking about we're fallen, I know that there are thoughts and ideas about, who does that make me if I admit that I fell? But we
Wow.
all have been under the pressure of life differently. And so we all, whether we want to admit it or not, have fallen. We all have had this pressure on us. And this series, this season is really, let's walk through these getting up together. Let's get up together. Let's recover together. Let's, I know we're still on Zoom. I know we're still in distance, but let's start preparing as we are coming up out of it. It's almost like being underwater for so long. You may wonder, is it okay to stick my head up yet? Is it okay to come up out? Is it okay to breathe? And we're trying to say that while we're in this recovery process, because John, you brought it up, you brought it home really good. It is a process. We want to say that we are going to recover together.
Hmm.
John and I are counselors, but we are recovering. We're going to explore things about ourselves in this process just along with you. There are things that we have endured, even like you said, John, being helpers, being
Yeah.
caretakers, caregivers that we have endured. And so I had to tell y'all, I'm just had to get real with y'all. This is for y'all, but this is for me too. I don't, the guests that are going to come on, I want us to talk about our process. And
Yes.
in our talk about our process, maybe you can find your process. We're not gonna sit here and tell you walk this way. There are a million and one ways to recover. But we are definitely going to, yes, yes, yes,
I
Crystal, we're
like.
going
Yeah.
to recover together because, and then in recovery, I'm going to recover me. And John, the thing that's so exciting about recovering me is that I want people to get to the person who they were born to be.
Yes. Yes.
And so when I say recover me, it may shock you. People may be like, well, I'm going to go back to how I was before coronavirus. I don't know. You may go back to who you were supposed to be 50 years ago.
There we go.
You may
There
go
we go.
back, hopefully, in this process, you'll go back to the original design and God's original plan for who
Yeah.
you are as a person, as a human being. So, this may mean that after we go through the series and you start thinking about your recovery, you may recover and you may not walk the same.
Mhm.
You may recover, you may not be in the same field. John, what do you think
Yeah.
about
I
that?
I mean, see, like every time you think, it's like we're connected. Is
Yeah,
because you know
yeah,
what it does. Every many people are already experience a perspective shift,
yes, yes,
and the
I like that
perspective
word.
shifts have
Mhm,
to come. People are really starting to prioritize actually
mhm.
what's important to them.
What's important?
Um, and it gives them an idea to guess what, to do that research, to do that
Hmm.
re-inventory, to
Hmm.
when you said to read this, to recover. Some people, in order to recover, have to discover,
Oh, I
and
like
in
that.
that discovery, like you said, it may bring them to where the father, their heavenly father, really wanted them to be in the first place.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
we could have been stagnated
Oh, wow.
because of normalcy.
Yes,
We
John.
could have
Yes.
been stagnated because of
Hmm.
complacency.
Hmm.
We could have been stagnated because of a measure of success.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But to be able to see when all that you have is not working for you anymore,
Hmm.
and when you face with uncertainty, you have to dig for certainty.
Yes.
You have to find certainty.
Wow, I like that,
And a
John.
lot of times we will not find it within ourselves, with exclusively of ourselves.
Hmm. John, I like that. When I'm trying to find certainty, I have to dig for it.
Yeah.
I have to dig for it. So audience, I don't know if you're watching now, if you're watching in the replay, but like Crystal's saying, the
Yeah.
process has forced us to reevaluate ourselves, our priorities. Absolutely. We're looking at ourselves again. When's the last time you looked at yourself? I
Yeah.
know you looked in the mirror. I looked in the mirror before the podcast. I'm like, oh, let me make sure everything is okay. Go on Facebook Live. But when is the last time you really looked at yourself? And I tell you, for some people, looking in the mirror has been painful.
Yeah.
That has caused like that mental and emotional stress because I've had so much in my life, so many activities, so many events, so many things to do. I didn't have to look at myself. I could just skate past the mirror and the scripture really says it and forget what manner of man I am. But this holding cell, this cocoon called COVID, right? We're going to talk about it like that. This cocoon, this operating room of events have really caused lives to change, dramatically change. And for those who are experiencing mental and emotional distress and they feel lost and they feel wandering, they feel like they've fallen and they can't get up, we're saying that this is a process.
Hmm.
And this process If you engage in this process, if you connect in this process, if you sit with us and think with us and replay it again and really meditate on the things that we're saying, we're sharing, I believe that this process at the end of these 8 weeks and beyond, as you move forward in this year, you're going to start feeling better. You're going to start gaining strength mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all the aspects of you, financially, interrelationally. That when you start addressing and recovering the core of who you are,
Hmm.
it's going to breed satisfaction, right, John? We know
Yes,
that people
definitely.
who recover them are people who engage in positive relationships.
And that's another thing reason why I said I like to look at it in compartments is because as you are
Mhm.
doing that and you're recovering physically and you're getting in touch psychologically and emotionally, that's still a three-legged table.
Yes.
You have to find the center of your spirituality,
Hmm.
which in most cases might be the actual center of the table
Right.
or the center of the strength. And you need to find that. But and in addition to that, what could be a blessing out of all of this
Hmm.
is the fact that it it forces us to address stigmas in a way we
Yes.
haven't before.
Yes.
And the
Yes.
reason why I say that is because we tend to band together off of like situations.
Yes. True. True.
And even the perspective shift of how the big I and the little you,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
and that can play a part for how stereotype we look at individuals who are challenging or struggling and need help. They
Yes.
can feel like the little me to the big I, which is you,
Yes. Yes.
especially if you're helping them, because then you look like the big I and the poor little me,
Yes. You're right, John.
which can make it very difficult for just that's just an analogy for the apparent look like big I to feel like a little me.
Mm. So
That
how do
will
I?
make it hard to
Right.
try to reach out for help. Hold on.
Right.
So the perspective
He
shift,
said, "Hold on. Go ahead,
yeah,
John.
yeah,
Go ahead. I'm a
because of the
hold on."
because of the perspective shift, then is that what happens is when we are starting to feel that same sense of normity, that same sense of struggle, that same sense of
Hmm.
challenge,
Hmm.
then the focus is more on the resiliency.
Yes.
The
Yes.
focus is more on the interdependence
Ah.
rather than the individual expectation of of moving on. We usually
Hmm.
define someone's strength and based on their abilities alone, not realizing the strength really is in unity. That strength is really is in numbers.
Hmm.
But we usually define someone being strong as an individual rather than we being strong as a group. And if you take that perspective shift and realize, in order for me to be the strongest, I need a group.
John, and you're absolutely right. It takes a village to raise a child. We are better together. One can chase 1,000, two can put 10,000 to flight.
Okay, now.
These are all examples
Oh.
and reasons why we need each other. We need to recover. And we know that studies have shown that when people have partners, when people have peer partners in recovery, and we do
Yes.
addictions treatment, when there is a 12-step group, when there is a give me a sponsor, someone I can go walk through the process together,
Hmm.
recovery outcomes are increased, right? And John,
Yes.
when you were talking about, we model people who are strong by the things that they do. I started thinking about, and the fact that when we're talking about recovery, recover me, this is not about doing. This is about being. And that's why this is so powerful because this process we're talking about, and like Shalana is saying, going, I needed help was my hurdle, right? Accepting help and guidance has made me better. This is about everybody. This is about coming together and getting the guidance we need so that I can be a better me, so that I can recover me, and then I can experience recovery. So
Oh
even though
yeah.
we say recovery, recover me,
Hmm.
As you recover me, you'll get recovery. So it's
Yeah.
back and forth, right? It's a mirrored process. And so the thing that we have to encourage you is that this process is not going to happen alone. It's like somebody preparing for a race or somebody preparing for any type of improvement in their lives. They need a mentor, they need a guide, they need a peer.
Yeah.
So I want to share a thought that just came to me when I was thinking when you were talking, John. I was thinking about something that our my mentor and our bishop talks about. Bishop Blue
Oh yeah.
talks about. You need someone at times to walk in front of you to show you the way, right? You need sometimes somebody who to be beside you to like be in your ear, like you got it, you got it, you got it, John. But you also need someone behind you at
Yeah.
times to push
To
you
push you.
forward
It's that
because we may
team.
be unsure,
Yes.
uncertain, right?
Yes.
Reluctant. I don't know if I can do this. I had high hopes for 2020, and none of my hopes came happen. And so I'm scared to try again. I'm scared to trust
Yeah.
again. I'm scared to move again. I'll just stay right here. Guess what? I can get comfortable on this floor. I have been on this floor for a couple months now, and I think that
Hmm.
I can stay here a little longer. I'm seeing life pass me by. I'm seeing people starting to get active again, and I'm scared. John, I'm scared. I'm scared. And so, talk a little bit about I don't want to get up. I don't want to get
That's
up,
a
John.
tough one. That's a tough one because that's where you have felt the weight, and the weight has overcame you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like a situation where there's a quick story. Um, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So it's a story that most people may have heard, where guy was in the hole. We'll put the guy in the hole. Okay, it could have been a girl, but we're gonna put the guy in the hole. Okay, there's a guy in a hole. Fireman comes by,
Mm-hmm.
sees the guy in the hole, and he puts down the ladder, but it's too short,
Uh,
so he has to
mhm.
leave. Then a police officer comes by, looks down in the hole. The guy is asking for help because he needs help, but he can't get out the hole. So the fireman lets down the policeman lets down the rope, and it's too short.
Mm.
So then someone else walks by and sees him down there and sees that he needs help, and he jumps down in the hole. And the
Mm.
person looks at him and says, "Well, what did you jump down in the hole before? Hole here? Why did you do that?"
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Because I've been here before. Now
Mm.
follow me."
And I know how to get out.
And I know how to get out. So,
Mm-hmm.
in other words,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you're right.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we have to be
Mm.
vigilant,
John, that's something.
watching for others, because
Mm.
some people we might need to go get.
Yes,
We
John.
might need to go help someone recover themselves
Yes, John.
from their captivity.
John, let me tell you because like I had mentioned earlier, the Harvard School of Health talked about the fact that some people, due to the incidents of last year, are first timers as far as experiencing mental health challenges. They've never had a mental health
Mhm.
diagnosis, would consider themselves strong, balanced people enjoy life. Run the gamut. Okay, you could just give yourself whatever titles. And these are people who may find themselves down in that hole
Yeah,
and very shocked that somebody who they wouldn't even perceive would have an answer may jump down and help them.
that's right.
And that is such an interesting and unique situation that we have right now. John, you may be strong mentally. I may be strong in finances.
That's right.
But in this coronavirus situation in 2020, you got more money and I have mental challenges. And so I need what you got.
Yes.
You need what I got. We need each other. And so, in order to get up, you're right. In order to get up, if we're going to get up, if we're going to recover together, we have to use that word together.
Yeah, together. Yeah, teamwork
together.
makes the dream work. Yeah,
That's your
together.
saying, John.
Yeah,
That's your
well,
saying.
I got it from somewhere, but I do know that teamwork does make a dream work. And I would ask, who's on your dream team? Because you
Who's,
do need a team.
oh, I love
Who's
it.
on your
You
dream
need a
team? That
team.
means that everybody that you said that our chief prelate Bishop Blue said that you need someone in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Who's on your
Mm-hmm.
team that's in front of you,
Who's on your
pulling you?
team? Yeah. Yeah.
Because it can't be, we're movie buffs, so we might as well, you said that we're movie buffs, so it can't be Roscoe Jenkins, the team of me. If anybody ever seen that, the team of me. No, it's not that.
Not the
Um,
team of
but
me.
but you need to build a team. So
Yes.
who's on your
Yes.
team that's by your side?
Yes, John.
Who's on your
Who's
dream
on your
team?
team? Who's on your
And
dream
because
team?
you need these people on your dream team. And I'm not saying the dream team doesn't mean that these people are experts. It means that these
Right.
people are honest. It means
Honest.
that these honest.
Yes,
These
John.
That means that these
Honest.
people are dedicated to their role.
Right.
You can That means that I'm here to pull you. I don't
Yes.
know if you're going to like it or not, but
Right.
that's my role, to pull you.
Right.
I'm here to push you. I know it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be times you're not going to like it. Might not even like me.
Right.
But my purpose of being on the team
Mm-hmm.
is so that we all can advance. And a part of us advancing is that you need to be pushed and I need to be pulled.
Yeah. John, I
Build
wanna
your dream team. Watch who's
build
on the
build
team.
build your dream
Watch who
team.
is on your team.
John, I like that wisdom. When you're in recovery, like you talked about, you brought up the hospital. Everybody can't be around you. Everybody is not allowed in the same space as you. And so we all know that when people are healing mentally and emotionally, it is a time to do as we use in motivational interviewing and addictions treatment to reevaluate our recovery environment. And we talk about that. Let's reevaluate our recovery environment. Let's see, is our environment conducive for recovery, for long term, long lasting recovery?
Hmm.
And this is a time as we're reflecting on ourselves, we reflect on our activities and all the things that are connected to us. And John, as I want, you're going to stay to the end. Usually I put you back out, but I need you here because we're going to talk about action just right now.
Okay.
What our action is going to be, and I'm excited, John. I'm excited. You will definitely. I might have to keep you the whole season, John. I don't know if you're busy, but we might have to walk through this whole season because we are recovery specialists. We work in this field when we work with people who have substance use disorders. Recovery is such a temperamental process. And we have seen recovery go well, right? We've seen it go well. And we've seen recovery and relapse. We've seen change happen quickly, change happen slowly. We've seen the gamut. And so it really, as we bring others on to join us in this conversation, we want to start with the 3 R's to begin recovery. So tonight is our first night. Let's get started. Let's not wait. John, people like to wait. Oh, Nicole, let's talk about recovery tomorrow. Oh, Nicole,
Uh,
I'll start working on that next week. Oh, Nicole, I'll do it another time. No, let's start tonight. Let's start tonight. And the first R of our recovery is relate. John, you were all, I know you didn't have these points because we didn't give them to you, but you were all in these points. How do you relate? Find yourself in the information provided today. We all have experienced transition last year. There is no one that's out there watching this video or watching this live that cannot say that there was some type of change in your life last year. Whether it was grief, we all have experienced loss of,
yes.
like John was saying, loss of normalcy. So relate, find yourself in this information. This is not, like John said, the big eyes and the little U's. This is all of us together recovering this year. Number two, review. So
Hmm.
think about the information we shared and review any other viable information. We're going to be talking about this topic for the next 7 weeks after today. So it may cause for you to review this video, to listen to it later, to think about things that we say, stop it. That's the power of online video. You don't have to, you could stop it. You could think about it for a minute. You could take some notes. You could
Mm,
reflect on it and you can go back. This is how we want this podcast this season to be. We want it to be your tool. We want it to be your voice. We want it to be what sometimes we're going to be in front of you. As we start this process tonight, John and I are in front of you. Who knows? Next week we might be right beside you.
yeah, yeah.
And then there's going to be a time where we're going to be pushing you to move forward. And then the last thing is recover. At the end of the day, John, right? That's our hope for you.
Yeah. Cover,
Recovery is a process.
recover.
John, we got a few minutes left. Talk about the journey of recovery. Talk about what we are going to experience from your perspective on this journey of
Wow.
recovery. Recover me.
That's real funny because I work with the 12 walking with God every step of the way.
Yeah, yeah.
That's off of a 12-step recovery model. Not that it takes 12 steps to get to God, but you will definitely experiencing these 12 things as you are
Hmm.
walking with them.
Hmm.
So the process is acknowledgement,
Yes.
which you already said with the relate.
Hmm.
I mean, without acknowledgement, you almost cannot even begin.
Right.
So the
Right.
process of recovery is really acknowledging through that relation and
Hmm.
then accepting.
Hmm.
And that's accepting where you are
Hmm.
and realizing that that's not where you no longer want to be.
Oh, wow. So, John, even the terminology, I've fallen and I can't get up.
Hmm.
I've fallen acknowledges where I am.
Yep.
I can't get up expresses in that statement, there's an expression of I want to get up,
Yep. I
but
want
I
to get up,
can't.
but I
I
can't.
want to get up, but
Yeah.
I can't. That's
And then
good.
the acceptance piece is
Mhm.
I can't,
I
right?
can't.
I need to accept that I can't
Right.
so then I can accept, or will I accept for someone to help me?
So I will push that button.
Yeah.
I will wave
I
my
will push
hand.
that button. There
I
you go.
will say, hey, somebody,
Yep.
I need help. I'm trying to get up. Can
You
you help?
accepted the limitation. You
Yes.
accepted your limitation.
Oh, that's good, John. Yes.
You
Yes.
accepted your limitation. You didn't succumb to it. You
Right.
accepted it.
Right. Oh, I like that, John. I like that.
Because sometimes that's where the perspective shift comes from.
Mm-hmm.
We think that we have to do everything or we're not strong.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No, that's why you have to adapt the interdependency that God placed on us to be interconnected with other
Yes.
people. You are not
Mm-hmm.
everything in and all of it yourself.
Yes, that's right. That's right. I can't do it by myself. And
Yep.
so I think we
But
want
that's a
people,
process too. The
yeah,
process is acknowledging, accepting, understanding,
uh-huh,
receiving,
uh-huh.
receiving it, right? Maintaining it and sharing it.
Oh, John, I like that process.
So
I
that's
like
like you just, so you're going along the continuum, but then you're it's like you're paying it forward.
yes.
You're the one jumping in the hole now,
Mm-hmm.
pulling
Mm-hmm.
somebody else out.
Mm-hmm.
But you
Mm-hmm.
have to go through that process. See, you can't lead where you're not willing to go.
Well, you're not willing to go.
So that means that when we're helping people or we want to help people, then we have to go into those vulnerable places too that we're asking other people to
Mm-hmm.
do.
Mm-hmm.
Because we
John,
won't be able to lead
yeah,
if we're not willing to go.
yeah, yeah,
But that's
yeah.
the process. So when you said the recovery process, I want people to understand that within any process, there are stages. Just like when
Mm-hmm.
they go to, and you might wind up, unfortunately, on the hospital or the medical terms, you might find yourself in ICU.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're in recovery. And then
Mm-hmm.
they may move you to another room. But then
Mm-hmm.
they may send you home and they may send a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
And then they may send you to a work rehab in terms of getting your muscles and everything back. All of that is a process.
All of it's a
And
process.
within that process, you're going to visit all those other things because remember, it's four-legged table. So
Yes.
you that's the physical piece, but then
Mm-hmm.
you got to have that mental piece.
Yes,
You know that I can,
I can. Mm-hmm.
and you need somebody on the team pushing you to say that you can when you can't.
Right.
And then you have that emotional piece,
Mm-hmm.
that piece that feels vulnerable because either someone else's perception of you or your own poor
Mm-hmm.
self-image of yourself. But
Mm-hmm.
then you need that spiritual piece that centers around that no matter everything you think that you're not,
Mm-hmm.
you're still meaningful.
Yes, you're still
You're
meaningful.
still purposeful.
Yes.
You need
Yes.
that.
And that's why you need a dream team,
You need that
because
dream
in
team.
spite of where you may be and how low you might feel right now, there is still a dream that you haven't achieved. There is still purpose. There is still a place. And John, um, when I started the podcast, it was my heart and my desire to really bring mental health education to
Mm,
people, and the opportunity and the space, to people, and to bring it in such a way where um, people can be their authentic selves and to understand who they are as they're exploring this topic of mental health. Okay, and I try to spread the word with about mental health and about recovery and about uh, the things that we can do. But John, I tell you tonight, I just feel such a strong urgency to pray, to pray for those who are watching, and to pray for those who may watch in the future. And I know we normally, this is not the context of how we operate, but
yeah.
we operate according to how we're led.
Yes.
And one thing I do know is I thank you for that arm, John, because we do know that spiritual side of us, that deepest part of who our being, of who we are, it has to be recovered as well.
Yeah.
And we have to find out, who am I? And it's an existential in thought. Existentialism, we know, is talking about purpose, and finding
Clinical.
ourselves in that purpose of, why am I here? Why am I here? And a lot of people, I feel that we need to pray. We need to pray out.
Yes.
And so, John, I'm going to pray, and
Mm,
I'm going to let you finish it out, and then we're going to come back. So, God, we thank you for everyone that's watching tonight. Lord, I thank you for those who this is their first time tuning in, and they're tuning in on this particular segment of Recovery, Recover Me. I thank you because, Lord, you have allowed us to come through 2020 scarred, wounded, hurt, encouraged, inspired, resilient, angry, fearful, joyful, and calm. Wherever our place is tonight, we are grateful that we are here together. We can't account for how we would have made it without you, Lord, because we know if we had not had you on our side, Lord Jesus, we don't know where we would be. When there are no answers, you always give us the answers. You always give us a place where we can go and ask those difficult questions, those questions of the heart, those questions of the mind, those questions that come up in our emotions. So, Lord, tonight we ask that you would bless my brother and my sister and everyone that is watching this live stream, that they would know that we're in this together,
mm.
that we are not going to leave them behind, that if they would engage in this process with us, we will all recover. And not only will we all recover, but it's your desire that we recover all, including ourselves. So, Lord, we thank you for it. And I'm going to give it over to John to offer a prayer before we close out.
Father, I just continue to connect with my sister here in prayer, Lord, that you will bless every listener, God, and those who even intended to listen, God.
Mhm.
God, we thank you for sharing with us so deeply, oh God. We thank you for your insight. for today. We thank you for the revelation, God. But we know revelation, God, is not good without elevation. So, God, we ask that you help us to do our part that we might be elevated in the intent that you had in mind by bringing us together with this information. God, you know that we are interdependent on one another as well as dependent upon you, oh God. So, God, I just ask right now that you would touch our hearts and our minds, oh God, that we may continue to seek and discover our purpose, our connection with you. And then I ask, God, that we would utilize that information, oh God, and to apply that information that we may recover me and be recovered. God, I thank you for the serenity prayer that
Mhm.
says, grant me the serenity, your peace. Grant me the serenity to accept, God, the things that I cannot change.
Mhm.
I need peace to be able to know and to rest, not to be complacent, but to be content. And then, God, I ask that you would grant me your serenity, your peace, to acknowledge and understand the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference of what I can do versus what I need help to do.
Mhm.
And I need you to help us all with understanding and granting us that peace. So, God, we thank you for this platform. We thank you for inclining your ear to our situation. And we just pray that you would make haste to recover us. In Jesus'
Amen. Thank you so much, John. I am so excited.
name. It was a pleasure.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you, Facebook.
feel that. Thank you, Facebook. We love you. YouTube, we love you. I just feel that we are on such a powerful path that these next weeks we're going to experience I really feel just a powerful presence right now that we're going to feel transformation that I don't feel, John, even as we're talking and I see you and I know our beautiful hostess with the mostest, Shalonda, who none of you see. She's
She's
helping us, and the
wonderful.
three of us are here together. She's wonderful. But John, I feel community tonight.
Mm,
I feel community. I feel that there are people together on this live stream.
all
And
right.
I feel that there will be people that will watch, that will come together and join us on this journey of recovery,
Yes.
recover me. So, friends, we thank you tonight for being here. Please make sure you like, you share, you scream, you holler, you love it, you hit the buttons, you let everybody know that we are on another season of Headshots Podcast with Dr. Nicole. Go over to our YouTube channel and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We would appreciate it very much. And so we want to say good night for now, and we'll be back next week for another edition of the Headshots Podcast with Dr. Nicole. God bless you. We love you, and we will recover
God
all.
bless. We love you. Thanks.